Welcome to Hogwarts Radio. It is a beautiful, peaceful evening here at Hogwarts Castle. The corridors are quiet, and the candlelight flickers softly in the common rooms. Wherever you are listening tonight, take a deep breath and relax. Allow the magic of Hogwarts to gently guide you into a restful sleep. We have a wonderful night ahead, filled with soothing stories, calming music, and enchanting sounds. So lay back, close your eyes, and enjoy your night here at Hogwarts Radio.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Hogwarts Radio. Here are tonight's magical announcements from around the castle. Today's Quidditch match between Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff concluded earlier this afternoon. After an exciting game, Ravenclaw secured victory by 70 points. Captain Amelia Dawlish skillfully caught the golden snitch, earning her team a notable early season win. Congratulations to both Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff for their admirable efforts on the pitch. As a gentle reminder, the next match will feature the much-anticipated rivalry between Gryffindor and Slytherin. This match will be held Saturday afternoon at precisely 2 o'clock. Spectators are encouraged to arrive early, as this event is expected to draw significant attendance from students and faculty alike. In other Hogwarts news, Professor Flitwick has announced the revival of the Charms Club. Meetings will begin tomorrow evening. Directly following dinner, in Classroom 2, any student interested in mastering advanced charm work or simply refining everyday spellcasting is warmly invited to attend. Professor Flitwick reminds all participants to bring their standard spellbooks and wands to the session. The Hogwarts Astronomy Club invites students to its weekly gathering tomorrow evening at the Astronomy Tower. The session will begin promptly at 9 o'clock, offering a chance to observe the magical constellations unique to this season. Members and newcomers alike are encouraged to attend. Please dress warmly, as the Astronomy Tower can become quite cool after dark. Additionally, the Hogwarts Herbology Department wishes to remind students of tomorrow's early morning greenhouse session. Professor Sprout will be guiding students through the gentle art of cultivating moondew flowers. Those interested should meet at Greenhouse 3 promptly 8 o'clock. Please remember to bring dragonhide gloves and earmuffs, as moondew pollen is known for its relaxing but slightly sleep-inducing effects. The Hogwarts Library announces extended evening hours throughout this week. Students wishing to complete their studies quietly may use the library until 10 o'clock each night. Madam Pants kindly reminds all students to return borrowed books promptly and in good condition, as overdue books have recently been enchanted to whisper polite reminders until returned. Lastly, the magical weather forecast for this evening calls for calm skies with gently drifting clouds illuminated by moonlight. A pleasant, silvery mist will remain settled over the Black Lake, creating an ideal atmosphere for peaceful walks along the castle grounds. Students choosing to stay indoors can enjoy the comforting warmth of enchanted fireplaces now lit in every common room. That concludes tonight's magical announcements. Stay tuned for soothing musical selections and enchanting tales from Hogwarts history. Relax and enjoy your restful evening, right here with Hogwarts Radio.
Welcome back to Hogwarts Radio. I am glad you are still with us. For this next segment, we will take a quiet journey into the past. Tonight's tale is about the founding of this very school, a story told often, but always worth hearing again on a peaceful night. Over 1,000 years ago, in a time when magic was feared by many, for witches and wizards came together with a single vision. They wished to build a safe place where young magical folk could learn their craft. A school unlike any other, one hidden from the non-magical world, one that would shape the future of magic. Their names are known by all who walk these halls. Godric Gryffindor and Salazar Slytherin each brought different gifts to the founding, Each held a different idea of what kind of student the school should teach. Yet they all shared a love for learning and a belief that magical children should be given a chance to grow and become great. They searched far and wide across the land before finding the right spot. A stretch of highland countryside where the mountains met a great dark lake. The land was wild and full of ancient magic. It was perfect. Together they built Hogwarts Castle. Stone by stone, charm by charm, the castle itself became enchanted, filled with hidden rooms, secret passageways, and moving staircases. Even in its early days, it was alive with wonder. In the evenings, the founders would sit in the great hall and talk by firelight. They dreamed of a school where magic was taught with care and purpose, a school that would outlive them all. The founders created 4 houses, each named after one of them. Godric Gryffindor valued courage. Helga Hufflepuff prized loyalty and kindness. Rowena Ravenclaw treasured wisdom. And Salazar Slytherin sought ambition and skill. They used magic to sort students into these houses, a decision that would shape the identity of each young witch or wizard. The sorting hat was created by Godric himself. He enchanted it with the minds of all 4 founders. When placed on a student's head, it would sense their traits and choose the right house for them. This same hat remains with us today, over 1,000 years later. The school began with just a handful of students. Lessons were held in small stone rooms. Candles floated through the air. Books were handwritten. Wands were carved by hand. The founders taught every class themselves. They taught charms and potions, transfiguration and defense. They taught about magical creatures and the care of plants. They laid the foundations for everything Hogwarts would become. The bond between the founders was strong in the beginning. They respected one another, but over time, their differences began to grow. Salazar Slytherin believed that only pure-blood witches and wizards should be taught at Hogwarts. He felt that magical learning should be kept within families with long magical heritage. He worried that teaching Muggle-born students could bring danger or weaken the traditions of magic. The other founders did not agree. Helga Hufflepuff welcomed students from all backgrounds. She believed anyone with magical ability deserved to learn. Rowena Ravenclaw valued intelligence above blood. Godric Gryffindor stood firmly against Salazar's views. He believed that bravery and potential mattered more than family history. The arguments grew more serious over time. Though they tried to remain united, trust began to fade. Salazar became more distant. He continued to teach, but he watched the school change in ways he did not like. Eventually, the tension reached a point where Salazar made a choice. He left the school. Some say he vanished without a word. Others believe he left through a secret path only he knew. What is known is that he never returned. Before leaving, Salazar Slytherin created a hidden chamber deep beneath the school, a chamber known today as the Chamber of Secrets. He enchanted it to remain closed until a true heir of Slytherin arrived at Hogwarts. Inside, he placed a creature meant to purge the school of those he believed did not belong. The other founders did not know of the chamber's existence. It remained a secret for centuries. The legend of the chamber was passed down in whispers. Most believed it to be a myth, but the truth of its creation was rooted in the final days of Salazar Slytherin. Though his departure marked a difficult chapter, the school continued to grow. The remaining founders stayed united in their mission. They strengthened the school's protections. They welcomed students from every part of the magical world. Each house kept the values of its founder. Over time, the students developed unique traits. Gryffindors were known for their daring, Ravenclaws for their wit, Hufflepuffs for their loyalty, and Slytherins for their ambition. Even today, the sorting hat considers these traits when deciding where each student belongs. Despite their differences, all students were taught the same lessons. They ate together in the Great Hall. They studied together in the library. They walked the same long corridors. The spirit of learning bound them together. Hogwarts became more than a school. It became a home, a place where young witches and wizards could grow, explore their gifts, and find where they belonged. As the years passed, the legacy of the founders lived on in every stone of the castle. The walls held their magic. The staircases twisted and shifted with their enchantments. The great hall lit up each evening with hundreds of floating candles, just as it did in the earliest days. The ceiling still reflected the sky above, enchanted by Rowena herself. The founders left behind more than spells and stories. They passed down values. Each house held on to the spirit of its founder. Teachers would remind students of the traits they were chosen for, but the school always reminded them that they were one Hogwarts, no matter which house they called home. Rowena Ravenclaw was known for her sharp mind and deep love of learning. She created the Ravenclaw common room high in a tower, with windows that looked out over the mountains. She believed that wisdom came from asking questions, and her students were encouraged to be curious and thoughtful. Helga Hufflepuff was the most inclusive of the founders. She accepted all students who wished to learn, no matter their background. Her common room was near the kitchens, filled with warmth, plants, and comfort. She valued fairness and teamwork, and she made sure every student felt welcome. Godric Gryffindor was a brave and loyal wizard. His common room was set in one of the highest towers, reached through a portrait that required a password. His students were known for standing up for what was right, even when it was hard. He believed that courage came in many forms. Salazar Slytherin, though remembered for his departure, was a skilled and powerful wizard. His house valued leadership and ambition. The Slytherin common room, hidden beneath the lake, was cool and quiet. His students were taught to be resourceful and determined. Though the founders passed on, their houses remained. Each year, new students came through the castle doors and were sorted by the hat that still held the wisdom of all four. In this way, the founders continued to guide each generation of witches and wizards. Their vision had come to life. A school where magic could be studied safely, where young minds could be shaped, where talents could be discovered. But Hogwarts was never just about lessons. It was a place of friendships, of discovery, of challenge and growth. The founders had built more than a school. They had created a legacy. Even in the centuries that followed, the work of the founders remained at the heart of Hogwarts. Though the castle grew and changed, their presence could still be felt. Statues and portraits kept their likenesses alive. Old spellwork woven into the stone walls still responded to their original enchantments. The four houses competed in friendly rivalry. House points were earned through good behavior, skillful spellwork, and brave actions. Points were taken away for rule-breaking or mischief. At the end of each year, the house with the most points received the House Cup. This tradition began not long after the founders built the school and continues to this day. Professors became heads of house, guiding students and helping them grow. Each head understood the values of their house and worked to teach more than just magic. They helped young witches and wizards become kind, wise, and capable people. Beyond the classrooms and common rooms, the land around Hogwarts was rich with magical life. The Black Lake stretched wide and deep, hiding creatures like the giant squid and the merpeople who lived beneath the surface. The Forbidden Forest bordered the edge of the grounds. It was full of ancient magic, both beautiful and dangerous. The founders respected this land and used its power wisely. The founders also created a system to protect the school from threats. Magical barriers, enchanted artifacts, and hidden watch points were placed throughout the grounds. Though many of these charms have been renewed by headmasters over the years, some remain from the time of the founders. The founders knew that Hogwarts would outlive them. They built it not for their own glory, but for future generations. They believed that the magic within every student was worth nurturing. They knew that learning was a lifelong path, and they wanted to give young people a strong beginning. As the founders grew older, their time at Hogwarts began to end. Rowena Ravenclaw is said to have died of heartbreak after her daughter Helena fled the school. Helga Hufflepuff passed away peacefully, surrounded by students who loved her dearly. Godric Gryffindor left the castle in his later years and travelled the countryside, helping magical communities. Only Salazar Slytherin's story ends in mystery. Some say he went far east to study ancient dark magic. Others believe he never left Britain and lived in secret, watching from afar. Whatever the truth, his mark on Hogwarts remained, for better or worse. Though the four founders eventually passed on, their legacy remained strong. New headmasters and headmistresses were chosen to lead the school. Each brought their own style of leadership, but all stayed true to the vision, first shaped by Godric, Helga, Rowena, and Sam. Over time, the school expanded. New classrooms were added, new subjects were introduced. Magical creatures once studied only in books were brought onto the grounds for hands-on learning. The library grew with every passing year, filled with scrolls, enchanted tomes, and rare volumes from every corner of the magical world. The founders' personal items became treasured relics. Rowena Ravenclaw's lost diadem was said to enhance the wisdom of any who wore it. Helga Hufflepuff's cup became a symbol of generosity and care. Godric Gryffindor's sword was enchanted to present itself to any true Gryffindor in need. These artifacts were passed down or hidden, each holding centuries of magical power. Some of these objects, over time, became involved in darker parts of wizarding history. But in the beginning, they were made with noble intent. They were symbols of each founder's deepest values. In later centuries, many students would come to Hogwarts not knowing much of the founders' history, yet their influence could be felt in every lesson, in every house crest, in every word the Sorting Hat spoke at the start of term. The Sorting Hat itself remained a constant. Though old and weathered, its voice still rang clear. Every year it welcomed new students with a special song, telling the story of the four founders and reminding everyone of the importance of unity, even when divided by house. The Sorting Hat often warned of division. It spoke of the need for cooperation and friendship between houses. Though the founders had disagreed, their goal had been the same: to teach, to guide, to build a future for magic. The founders may have lived long ago, but their presence is still alive within the castle, in portraits hanging in the corridors, in the great stone statues that line the halls, in the enchantments that hum softly through every wall and doorway. Even today, students are shaped by the houses the founders created. They build friendships, face challenges, and learn lessons that reflect the values first set by Godric, Helga, Rowena, and Salazar. These values are not meant to divide students, but to help them understand who they are and who they can become. Many great witches and wizards have walked these halls. Some were brave like Gryffindor, some wise like Ravenclaw, others were loyal like Hufflepuff, or ambitious like But no matter their house, all were part of something greater. All were part of Hogwarts. Every student adds their own story to the castle's long history. Each moment, each lesson, each step through the snow-covered courtyard or the echoing entrance hall becomes part of the magic that fills this place. Teachers remind students that the founders were not perfect. They were powerful and wise, but also human. They disagreed. They made mistakes, but they built something lasting. Something that grew far beyond what any one of them imagined. That is what makes Hogwarts special. Not just the spells, or the secrets, or the ghosts in the hallways, but the feeling that this place holds generations of hopes, questions, and dreams. It is a place where magic is learned, but also shared. And so the legacy of the founders continues, passed from teacher to student, from student to student, year after year. A story that never ends, because it is still being written. Many visitors who come to Hogwarts for the first time feel something the moment they step through the front gates. A feeling that the air is filled with stories, that every stone in the castle has something to tell. That feeling comes from the magic of the founders. It is woven into every corner of the school. It lives in the floating candles of the great hall, in the warm light of the common rooms, in the steady turning of the spiral staircases, in the gentle rustle of pages turning in the library. Over the years, many headmasters have worked to preserve what the founders built. Some added new protections, others kept old traditions alive. But the core of Hogwarts has always remained the same. Each student, no matter their background or talent, is treated as someone with the potential to grow. That idea came from Helga Hufflepuff, who believed that kindness was as powerful as any spell. Each challenge, from a difficult potion to a tough decision, is a chance to show courage. That spirit came from Godric Gryffindor, who believed bravery was not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it. Every riddle solved, every book read by candlelight, every student who stays up late to study, that thirst for knowledge came from Rowena Ravenclaw, who believed that wisdom begins with curiosity, and every goal, every dream, every student who dares to imagine more for themselves. That drive came from Salazar Slytherin, who believed that ambition could lead to greatness when guided by purpose. These values are not meant to separate students, but to shape them, to give them space to grow in their own way under the same enchanted roof. And so, the story of the four founders continues, not in the pages of history books alone, but in the quiet, everyday moments, in the laughter echoing through the courtyards, in the late-night whispers shared in dormitories, in the courage shown during lessons, in the patience learnt over time. The castle stands as their gift to the future, a place where young witches and wizards can begin their journey, a place where mistakes are part of learning, where questions are welcomed, where students are guided not only by rules, but by values that have stood for over 1,000 years. The legacy of Hogwarts is not built only on ancient stone or powerful enchantments. It lives in the people who pass through its gates, in those who choose to learn with open hearts and open minds, in those who carry the lessons of the founders into the world beyond these walls. And even long after they leave, Hogwarts remains a part of them. Many will say that Hogwarts is home, a place that remembers everyone who has ever walked its halls. As we end our story tonight, take comfort in knowing that the castle still stands, that the candles still glow, that the sorting hat still sings, and that the magic placed here so long ago continues to shine. Thank you for joining me for this tale. Rest well, and let the spirit of Hogwarts guide you into a peaceful sleep. You are listening to Hogwarts Radio, and the night is still young.
You're listening to Hogwarts Radio. I hope you enjoyed our story tonight about the founding of Hogwarts. It is always a comfort to remember how this castle began and the values that continue to guide it today. A few gentle notes from the wider magical world, shared quietly to help you drift deeper into rest. The enchanted lanterns are set to hover gently over the streets, glowing in soft gold and blue. Madame Rosmerga at the Three Broomsticks has brewed a new seasonal tea made with frostmint and elderflower. She invites visitors to stop by for a warm evening drink while the lanterns float above. Courage, kindness, wisdom, and ambition still shape every young witch and wizard who walks these halls. Inspired by Helga Hufflepuff's original recipe, the dessert includes warm treacle, cinnamon, and a dash of enchanted vanilla that causes the scent to linger comfortingly in the air. From the slow turning of the stars above the astronomy tower to the calm ripple of the Black Lake, There's magic in every corner. We will continue our journey shortly with more calming sounds and enchanted moments. That brings our owl post to a close for tonight. Soft news from across the magical world, carried gently by the wings of owls and shared under quiet candlelight. House elves working in the kitchens say the aroma has already been making students feel more relaxed during exams. She offers enchanted sketchbooks that illustrate magical creatures in motion, one not often told in detail, but remembered in whispers throughout the halls of Hogwarts. It is a tale of enchanted staircases, how they came to move, why they never seem to follow the same path twice, and what secrets may lie hidden behind their shifting steps. Each page displays a different beast from her years of study in the Forbidden Forest. A gentle thestral sketch is said to blink once every hour. The air is still, the firelight is low, and there is more magic to come. Now we take a moment to open the Owl Post. This week, Hogsmeade has begun preparing for its Midsummer Lantern Festival. The enchanted recipes stir themselves when read aloud, and hum softly when properly followed. Proceeds from this edition will support St. Mungo's Hospital. In the latest notice from the Ministry of Magic, a gentle reminder has been sent out regarding broom safety during the summer flying season. With clear skies and warmer winds, more young wizards are taking to the air. The Department of Magical Transportation asks that all flyers check their broom charms for stability and avoid flying near Muggle areas, especially during evening hours. Back at Hogwarts, Professor Kettleburn's former assistant, Ms. Tansy Wagtail, has opened a small shop near the edge of the village. These silver-petaled plants bloom only once every 10 years and emit a soft ringing sound at night. Professor Sprout has asked students not to disturb the plants, as they are especially sensitive to sudden movement. If you are near Greenhouse 5 this week, you may hear them chime softly in the moonlight. In Diagon Alley, Flourish and Blots has re-released a special edition of Spells and Spoons, the cookbook for young magical chefs. Closer to home, the Hogwarts greenhouses have reported a rare blooming of whispering bellflowers. Meanwhile, the castle kitchens have been preparing a special evening pudding for the end of the term. As always, Hogwarts continues to hum with quiet life during these peaceful summer nights. Thank you for joining me for this evening's Owl Post. As the castle settles deeper into sleep, we invite you to stay with us here on Hogwarts Radio. In just a moment, we will guide you into a new story. So stay tucked in, let the sound of the castle carry you, and prepare to drift into another quiet corner of Hogwarts history.
This is not your usual segment. You are listening to Hogwarts Radio. I am Professor Snape, Potions Master, head of Slytherin House. Do not mistake this recording for entertainment. It is not for those seeking warmth or whimsy. It is meant only for those who are listening carefully, those who still their thoughts, those who wish to understand the deeper nature of magic. There are lessons not often spoken aloud, lessons that lie beneath the surface of your textbooks, lessons found between the lines, in silence, in discipline, in control. Tonight, I will speak to you not as a teacher, but as someone who understands that knowledge, when properly handled, is power, and that sleep, though it feels harmless, can be far from it. The subject is the draught of living death, a potion few of you will ever master, fewer still will ever need, but all should respect. You may believe that sleep is simple, faith, that to rest is to close one's eyes and trust the body to follow. But there are potions that do more, potions that reach beneath the skin, into the breath, into the mind. Whoosh. The draught of living death is one such creation. It is not a potion meant for carelessness, nor is it meant for sleep. It is used in moments of grave need, to halt the body, to preserve the mind in stillness, in some cases to buy time, in others to avoid something worse. Its ingredients are delicate: valerian, root for sedation; wormwood for darkness of mind; a whisper of asphodel cut with the grain, not against; and the most important element, saprophoris, bean, not crushed, not sliced, buys gently split and stirred clockwise, counterclockwise. Those who follow the instructions in the standard textbook often fail. They cloud the potion. They overheat the base. They forget to add a single drop of water before stirring, or learnt, through quiet trial, that crushing the saprophoris bean with a silver blade releases more of its active compound. I made a note of it once in the margin of a book. That note has outlasted the ink in many formal lessons. The draught of living death, when brewed correctly, is pearlescent, slow-moving, cold even before the chill of the bottle sets in. A single drop on the tongue brings silence to the breath. A full measure will still the heartbeat until reversed. But there is an art to it, one that most will not learn by simply reading. What you fail to understand, most of you, is that brewing is not merely about instruction. It is about instinct, precision, and control. There is a story I will share, not for sentiment, but for the lesson it contains. Centuries ago, during the time of Headmaster Brutus Grimgore, a student in his 7th year brewed the draught of living death without permission. He was arrogant, gifted, perhaps, but careless. He wished to prove himself, not through mastery, but by drawing attention. He succeeded in brewing the potion. He failed to respect its purpose. He slipped a measured dose into the goblet of another student, not to harm her, he claimed, but to test his work. She fell into the deepest sleep, unreachable. Her heartbeat slowed until it vanished from detection. Her became so shallow that even the healers could not find a trace of it. For 3 days, she remained like that, alive, but far beyond waking. There was panic, accusations. The boy who brewed it remained silent, thinking he had created something powerful, untouchable. P was wrong. The headmaster found the antidote in time. A rare mixture requiring phoenix tears and essence of dittany brewed under the moonlight. The girl awoke. The boy was expelled. His wand snapped. Peace. His name removed from all house records. Not because he failed, but because he succeeded without wisdom. Power without control is poison. I tell you this not to frighten you, but to remind you what potions truly are. They are not spells. They are not games. They are not colored bottles with clever names. They are magic in liquid form. And like any magic, they carry weight. Some may say that the draught of living death has no place in a school. I disagree. It belongs here because it teaches one of the oldest lessons in magic. that knowledge is dangerous in the wrong hands, and that a steady hand is not born. It is trained. Every year I assign this potion to advanced students. Most fail to produce anything beyond a cloudy syrup that is expected. Mastery is not the point. The point is understanding the line between knowledge and arrogance, between discipline and pride, between preparation and risk. There is another reason I assign this potion, one that has little to do with the ingredients. It is because of silence. The draught of living death teaches stillness. Brewing process requires no shouting, no gestures, no wand work, only quiet hands, careful heat, exact timing, and patience. Most of you lack that. You stir too quickly. You breathe too loud. You treat the cauldron like a cauldron, not a vessel, not something living. Hot potions respond to the presence of the maker. Their texture changes depending on the weight of your touch. Their color depends on your focus. Even the temperature of your breath can alter the outcome. You do not teach this in the syllabus, but I observe it always. This is why I value brewing. It does not lie. It does not bend to charm or trick. If you are reckless, it fails. If you are careless, it turns. If you are distracted, and when it is done correctly, the result is quiet power, a potion that cannot be undone by shouting or force, one that holds more truth than most spells. There are few who understand this, even among stars. Professor Slughorn, for all his connections, rarely speaks of potions as more than recipes. His students enjoy his warmth, his compliments, but potions are not won by praise. They are won by respect. When I was a student, I learned this early. I studied in silence, practiced in forgotten corners of the castle. I rewrote entire chapters of my textbooks, not because I wanted credit, but because the printed instructions were not enough. That is how I became the half-blood prince, not through bloodline, not through favor, but through work. I say this so that you understand the difference between those who inherit magic and those who command it. There are few places at Hogwarts where true quiet exists. The dungeons are one of them. It is not silence born of comfort, it is the stillness of stone, of cold walls, and slow dripping water. The kind of silence that does not welcome you, but watches you. That is why I prefer it. Many students fear the dungeons. They claim it is too dark, too damp, too quiet. Oh, that is exactly why it is the best place to brew. Nothing stirs, nothing distracts. Only your intent remains. Intent matters more than any incantation, more than ingredients. If your mind is divided, the potion will divide. If your heart is restless, the surface will ripple. The draught of living death requires calm thought, not sleepiness, not laziness, but complete inward focus. And that is the irony. The potion brings on a sleep so deep, it mimics death. Yet to create it, you must be more awake than ever. You must Watch each phase. The shine of the mixture, the scent as it shifts, the sound of each bubble rising through the liquid. To wait, to make no move until the potion is ready to receive it. I have brewed this potion many times, not for class, not for drama, but for need. There are uses for it, even in our time. It has been used in the hospital wings, in cursed injury cases, in rare magical reactions, when the body must rest beyond natural sleep. You will not hear those stories in books. They are not published. They are not shared at dinner tables. But they exist, and knowing that they exist gives the potion meaning. Be reason to be taught, a reason to be respected. Perhaps that is why I speak to you now. Not because I believe you will all understand, but because one of you might. There are many students who walk through this castle believing that talent is enough. It is not. Potions do not respond to raw talent alone. They require patience, study, discipline, control, words most of you avoid, but words that matter. The draught of living death is not just a potion. It is a test, not of magic, but of restraint. Be here as a quiet strength in those who do not rush power, who do not flaunt their knowledge, who understand the weight of silence. It is those students I remember, not the loud ones, not the ones who crave attention, but the ones who watch, who listen. Perhaps you are one of them. If so, I offer this advice. Do not rely on instructions alone. Question them. Improve them. Understand why each step matters. Make each movement count, even your breath. And above all, remember that magic without thought is chaos, and chaos has no place in mastery. That is all. You may return to your sleep now, if you wish, or you may lie awake and think. Either is acceptable. This has been a lesson from the Half-Blood Prince, Professor Snape.
You are listening to Hogwarts Radio. A few moments ago, you heard something rare. A private lesson, shared not in a classroom, but across the quiet air of the night. Professor Snape does not speak for applause. He speaks for clarity, for purpose. His words are sharp, but not without meaning. His thoughts remind us that magic is not always bright or loud. Sometimes it is silent, still, waiting. Some may find his voice cold. Others may find it difficult to understand his ways. But those who listen closely, those who truly pay attention, may hear what lies beneath. Discipline, care, protection, in a form not easily seen. We thank him for his guidance tonight, the kind that hums behind the walls as students sleep, the kind that rises and falls with the flicker of candlelight. That silence can be powerful. The black lake reflects the stars with hardly a ripple. Even the owls in the tower above seem to rest more softly, their wings tucked, their feathers still. Hogwarts itself is full of quiet magic, the kind that lingers in corners of old stone rooms. Every laugh, every footstep, every whispered thought, they do not vanish. They become part of the stone, of the air, of the magic. There are nights when the castle feels completely still, as though it is listening. Let the silence wrap around you like a cloak. The stars are waiting, the sky is clear, and the view, as always, is quietly extraordinary. For remembering, or a teacher whose words stayed with you longer than expected. Perhaps you are remembering your first steps into the castle, or the first time the ceiling of the Great Hall mirrored the sky. For listening, tonight is one of those nights. Through the windows of the North Tower, the moonlight reaches across the wooden floors. You may be lying awake, your thoughts drifting. That is fine. Not every moment of rest needs to be sleep. Some moments are simply for breathing. Perhaps you are thinking of a potion you studied long ago. Or maybe you are simply letting the night carry you, quietly, calmly. Whatever the case, you are not alone. This castle holds the memories of every student who has passed through its halls, and that includes you. So stay here a little longer. Soon, we will climb the astronomy tower.
The castle is quiet now. The lanterns are low. The portraits have gone still. Even the ghosts have retreated into the walls, their drifting silence blending into the stone. I leave the warmth of the corridor behind and begin the slow climb to the top of the astronomy tower. The stairs are worn from centuries of careful steps. My footsteps echo softly as I rise, one turn at a time. Each level brings a hush deeper than the last. The only sound is the wind, gently brushing the stone from the windows that remain open at this height. The air changes near the top. It feels thinner, cooler, a whisper against the skin, carrying the scent of pine, lake water, and distant clouds. At last, I reach the final step. The great wooden door ahead is already open. The astronomy tower welcomes quietly. No spells, no light, just the open sky. The platform stretches out in a half-circle of smooth stone. It holds a few aged brass telescopes and a cluster of soft benches arranged to face the stars. An enchanted chalkboard stands in the corner. Though no notes have been written tonight, there will be no lesson this hour, only stillness. Above, the sky is wide and clear. The stars shine without movement, scattered like silver dust across a deep blue sky. No clouds, no haze, just the sharp, clean quiet of a perfect night. The moon hangs low, not full, but bright enough to draw soft light across the stone floor. It pools like water around the base of the railing and spills out across the open edge of the platform. Every surface seems to glow faintly. I walk to the far side and place both hands on the cold railing. Below, the castle is dark. Just a few lanterns flicker in the courtyards, and the soft shimmer of the protective enchantments ripple along the outer grounds. Even the black lake appears still, reflecting the stars with perfect clarity. I take a slow breath and let it out. This tower has seen many nights like this. Many students have stood here, some with star charts and ink-stained robes, others with questions they never said aloud, and some came only to be quiet for a while. Tonight, I am here with you, not to teach, not to name every star, but to share the view, to breathe in this moment and feel the calm that only a night sky can bring. The castle sleeps below us. The world sleeps beyond it. But here, in the tower, we are awake, and the stars are waiting. The sky above Hogwarts is unlike any other, not because of the stars themselves, those are shared by every sky across the world, but because of the way the castle holds the night, how the air seems to hum with magic, how time moves slower when you look up from here. Directly overhead, the constellation of Cygnus glides in perfect shape, the swan, wings stretched across the heavens. To its left, the long curve of Draco coils its way across the upper arc. Its stars are sharp and distant, but they hold their places as they have for thousands of years. Further east, the shimmering cluster of Cassiopeia tilts slightly, her crown caught in motion. The stars blink faintly, not with movement, with memory. Some say the stars above Hogwarts burn a little brighter, that they remember the spells cast beneath them, that they bend gently toward those who look at them with wonder. I do not know if that is true, but I know that on nights like this, they seem closer. A few feet away, one of the enchanted telescopes rests idle. Its brass frame glows softly in the moonlight. If I placed my eye to it now, I would see not just the surface of stars, but their magical layers, ribbons of energy, threads of arcane light stretching between them like woven magic. The telescope shows the paths only wizards can see. The moving star, for example, is visible tonight. Just above the western ridge, it is slow, nearly still, but if you look long enough, you'll see it drift. Just a little. Just enough to remind you that nothing in the sky is fixed forever. Students have long believed the moving star chooses who sees it, that it appears only to those facing a decision, as if it waits to guide them somewhere unknown. I remember the first time I saw it. I was a student then. The night before a decision I did not want to make, I looked up and saw it pulsing gently, far from the rest, alone but steady. It is still there tonight. If you are looking for answers, perhaps it is looking back at you. The sky is not empty. It is not cold. It is full. Full of stories. Full of old spells, old songs, old names whispered by wizards, long forgotten. Even the darkness between the stars holds meaning. That space, that silence, gives the stars their shape. Just like quiet gives thought its weight. Just like night gives rest its depth. Look up. There is nothing to fear here. Only light. Only distance. Only wonder. There are stories tied to these stars. Not all are written in astronomy textbooks. Some are passed down through word and memory, softly spoken, half remembered, but they linger. Wizards have always watched the sky, even before spells were written, before wands were carved. They read the stars to know when to plant, when to travel, and when to cast. One of the oldest tales is of the wandering star. Long ago, it was said that this star did not belong to any constellation. It moved on its own. It refused to be charted. It did not follow the paths of the others. Some called it stubborn. Others called it wise. But many believed it appeared only to those who were lost. The story says that the wandering star once led a young witch through a cursed forest. She had been banished for using magic to protect her village. She followed its silver light through thorns and darkness. It guided her for 3 nights until she reached a valley untouched by harm. That place became her home, and from her magic a new line of witches was born. Some believe the star still guides those who need it, not with words, but with quiet presence. There are other stories, too. The 7 Sisters, a cluster of stars visible every clear winter night. Each sister was said to be a powerful enchantress. They studied together, danced together, cast spells that stitched their magic across the sky. But one of the sisters fell in love with the earth. She left the sky and became mortal, hiding among us. Her sisters still search for her, and that is why, on some nights, only 6 stars can be seen. Older still is the tale of the wandmaker's alignment. Before wand lore became a formal art, early wandmakers would craft their work only under the right stars. They believed the sky could influence the wand's core. If a wand was carved under the eye of Capella, it would favor spells of clarity. If carved beneath Vega, it would protect its wielder from false memory. Some wandmakers still observe this practice. Quietly, without saying so, they say the wand remembers the night it was born. These stories are not taught in class. They are not marked on official charts. But they are real in their own way. And when you sit here, in the quiet of the tower, with the sky above and the lake below, they do not feel like stories at all. They feel like memory, like truth wrapped in myth, like magic that never needed to be spoken, to be real. I step back from the railing and look down. The black lake stretches far into the dark. still and wide beneath the tower. Its surface holds the night sky like a mirror. Each star, perfectly placed, flickers just slightly on the water. The reflection is not broken, not even the wind stirs it. Sometimes the lake seems as deep as the sky above. In the daylight, the lake is home to many things. Beneath its surface lives the giant squid, gentle, watchful, older than most things in the castle. It rarely rises, but some nights, if the moonlight is strong, you can see its shadow glide just beneath the surface. Not threatening, just present. The merpeople dwell further down. They keep to themselves. They do not often come near the edge, especially when the castle sleeps. But sometimes, from this height, a flicker of silver moves deep below, like a ribbon of magic coiling through black water. Long ago, students used to row boats across the lake to chart the stars. Before the astronomy tower was built, they would carry parchment and ink, and sometimes enchanted compasses that pointed not north, but toward magical interference. It was said that the lake made the stars appear clearer, as though something in its depths quieted the world above. Even now, some students visit the shore to sit in silence. They say that if you look into the water for long enough, you can see not only the stars above, but something more. Something not reflected, but revealed. A memory, a wish, a part of yourself that you had forgotten. Whether or not that is true, I do not know, but I have seen the way the lake holds the sky, and that is enough. The reflection of the constellations ripple gently as an owl passes overhead. Its wings make no sound, only a shadow crossing stars, both above and below. And then the stillness returns. The tower is high, the lake is wide, the sky stretches between them, but they are connected. And here, above it all, you can feel the whole of it. The stars, the silence, the space between thoughts. Take a breath, let it fill your chest slowly. Now let it go. Gently, no rush, no force. You are safe here, you are still. The stars above are not in a hurry. They are never rushed. They do not shine brighter when watched. They do not dim when forgotten. They are simply there, constant, quiet, patient, like rest. You do not need to think too hard now. Let the weight of the day settle. Let the pressure fall away. Here in the tower there are no clocks, no deadlines, no voices calling you to the next thing. There is only this moment, this breath, this sky. You may find your mind drifting. That is all right. If it wanders, bring it back to a single star. Choose one. Imagine its shape, its glow, its silence. Let your breath follow it. Breathe in with the light. Breathe out with the dark. If thoughts appear, greet them gently, then let them pass. There is nothing to fix right now, nothing to solve. The stars will carry those thoughts. You do not have to. Perhaps you remember your first night at home, or the first time you stood outside under the stars without a lesson. Just looking, just being. This tower holds many memories like that, and tonight it holds yours too. Let the sky hold your breath. Let the night hold your name. The ground beneath you is strong. The sky above you is wide, and you are resting in between. Not alone, not lost, just here. And that is enough. The stars are still shining, but the hour has grown late. It is time to leave the tower. Slowly, I step back from the railing. The stone beneath my feet feels warmer now, touched by moonlight and memory. I take one last look at the sky, where the wandering star still lingers just above the western edge. It will remain there, even when you are no longer looking. The air is cooler now, the breeze a little softer. As if the night is beginning to exhale, I walk toward the stairwell. My steps are slow, careful not to disturb the silence that has settled in every corner of the tower. Each step down carries the calm with it. The walls feel close again. The castle begins to wrap around me once more, but the sky remains behind. Not gone, just higher. You may choose to stay here in your thoughts, resting with the stars a little longer, or you may follow me downward into quieter dreams. The night does not ask anything from you. You do not need to try. You do not need to explain. You only need to rest. And tomorrow, if you look up, the sky will still be there. This has been the Astronomy Tower Stargazing Experience. You are listening to Hogwarts Radio, and sleep is near. You are listening to Hogwarts Radio. A short time ago, we stood together atop the Astronomy Tower. We watched the stars turn slowly above the Black Lake. We listened to the quiet of the night, and we let go of the day. But there is another kind of stillness, a deeper one. It waits not under the sky, but under stone. Tonight, I am somewhere else. The Astronomy Tower is far above me now. Now I stand in the lower chambers of the castle, in the restricted section of the Hogwarts Library. The torches here do not flicker. They burn slow and blue, held in brackets that never rust. A purpose, a warning. The shelves curve inward like a maze. The books are older, bound in rough leather, stitched with spells. It reads, not cursed, not locked, just overlooked. It holds no active spell work, no diagrams of hexes or just ideas. In the first centuries of recorded magical practice, wands were not common tools. They were rare, often crafted by hand, and passed from one witch or wizard to another only when needed. Most magic was cast without them, with breath, with thought, with feeling before words. The earliest magical folk did not name their spells. They did not point or shout. They simply willed, not because it was stronger, but because it was closer. They calmed it when in pain. Some titles cannot be read without light from a certain angle. Some cannot be read at all, unless they want to be. Most students never see this section, and those who do come only with permission, a signed slip. It is tied to emotion. It changes with the heartbeat. One day it may rise like a tide. The next it may vanish like mist. But not everything here is dangerous. To shape it, to separate the feeling from the action, to add steps between thought and spell. Some volumes are simply forgotten, buried beneath years of dust and silence, waiting to be opened again. Tonight I have found one of those. A quiet text. The book is titled Form Without Focus. On the origins of Wandless, its pages are thin and faded. The ink leans to sepia. There is no author listed, only a handwritten note in the front cover, in unspoken spells, in protective bursts, in acts of instinct. To cast without a wand is not to do more, but to feel more and reach less. They are memories of what magic was before it learned words. Before structure, it may not return in the same shape. Before systems, before syllables were carved into lesson plans, there is something beautiful in that. Something quiet, something old. I turn the page. It passes through breath, through skin, through the spaces between thought. The language is simple, slow, meant to be read aloud. And so I will read it now, gently, just as it was written, not to shut out the world, but to feel it more clearly. Sense the air on the skin, the pull of your pulse, the silence beneath your breath. This is not because children are uncontrolled, but because they have not yet been taught to shape their instincts into narrow forms. That is the opening line of the first chapter. The words are slow and quiet, as though the author meant them to be whispered rather than spoken. Wandless magic begins where the body begins. They stirred wind with the sweep of their arms. They heated stones with the memory of warmth. They lit the air when afraid. The book does not romanticize this kind of magic. It admits its flaws. Wandless magic is uncertain. Wands came into fashion not to expand magic, but to control it. There is no judgment in this. No claim that one form is better than another. A wand is a bridge, not a cage. But those who never walk without it may forget they have legs. I pause. There is something gentle in the way this writer thinks, as if they do not wish to argue, only to remind. Wandless magic is not forgotten. It is still taught in some places, in small ways, in deep moments of need. But this book shows us what it once was. It was raw, imperfect, alive. I turn the next page. The parchment feels softer now, as if the words themselves have worn it down through time. The next section is titled simply Feeling. Wandless magic is not summoned through logic. It is not calculated. It is sensed. It begins in the center of the chest and moves outward. When a child performs accidental magic, it is almost always one. It appears in moments of strong emotion, protection, joy, fear. A child who lights a lamp with laughter has not learned the charm, but they have learned the feeling. I pause again. How many times has accidental magic been viewed as something to fix, to guide, to correct? Perhaps we are too quick to forget that those first flickers are not errors. The text continues. There is risk in magic that moves by feeling. It may falter, it may overwhelm, but there is risk also in forgetting feeling, in replacing it with commands, in making all magic obey before it listens. That line stays with me for a moment. In making all magic obey before it listens. How often do we cast spells without pausing, without listening to what the moment is asking? A wand makes us efficient, but wandless magic asks us to be present. The book offers no spells, no techniques, only guidance. Begin by closing the eyes. Do not ask the magic to appear. Let it notice that you are ready. This is not how we teach students today, but perhaps it is something worth remembering. I turn another page. The ink here is lighter, faded at the edges, but the words are still clear. As wands became more common, wandless magic was taught less. Not because it had failed, but because it could not be easily measured. A wand creates visible progress. Spell by spell, gesture by gesture, teachers can observe the result, record it, grade it, but wandless magic resists display. It hides in the quiet. It cannot be taught in groups, only practiced alone. There is no bitterness in these lines, only quiet observation. The change was not wrong, but it was incomplete. The book describes how, over time, magical education shifted. Classrooms grew. Standard spells were formalized. Examination systems required consistency. And so, wandless magic faded, not lost, just set aside. Even now, it appears where will is stronger than fear, where instinct rises before memory, where magic chooses to answer without waiting for instruction. There is a short paragraph here, written in smaller script. Some say wandless casting is a gift. Others say it is a birthright. But it is neither. It is a form of remembering, of allowing, of listening more than shaping. I let that sit for a while. In a world where spells are recited with perfect Latin form, where motions are precise, it is easy to forget that the first magic did not ask for permission. It moved with breath, with the shape of thought, with a need. The book continues. If wand magic is architecture, wandless magic is weather. It does not build, it moves, it touches, and it passes. That line feels important. Not all magic must build something. Not all of it must be held. Some magic is simply meant to pass through us. The final pages hold no conclusion, no summary. Only this. Magic has many forms. Some speak loudly, others wait in silence. The wand is a voice, but feeling is a song. One is not better than the other, but both should be heard. To cast without a wand is not to defy tradition. It is to remember where tradition began. I close the book. The cover is soft with age. The spine creaks slightly as it settles shut. The torchlight shifts in its bracket, casting shadows across the shelves. Somewhere far above, the castle sleeps. This book will return to its place on the shelf, unmarked, unread by most, but its pages remain full, not with spells, but with memory. Wandless magic may never return to every classroom. It may never be charted on exams, but it will continue to stir in instinct, in childhood, in silence. Perhaps that is enough. I step away from the table. The restricted section folds around me once more, heavy with silence, warm with enchantments. The torches burn low as I walk. There is something calming in this place, not in what it teaches, but in what it holds. So much of magic is about doing. This place reminds us that there is also value in being, in listening, in wondering. The stairs ahead lead gently upward. The tower is far above, but the magic below is just as strong. Thank you for sitting with me tonight. This has been Pages from the Restricted section. You are listening to Hogwarts Radio, and the night is still yours.
Welcome back to Hogwarts Radio. The castle is quiet tonight. Most students are asleep. The fires have burned down to glowing embers. But even in the stillness, whispers move through the air. The portraits have been talking again. And if you listen carefully, you might hear what they hear. You see, portraits never sleep, and they do love to gossip. Tonight, we bring you a few soft murmurs, unconfirmed. Always alone, always quiet. She orders tea, sits in the back corner, and hums softly to herself while staring at the flames. Unofficial, but perhaps not untrue. The same notes, repeated every time she visits, a melody to calm pain, to soothe minds, to bring peace. Let us begin in Diagon Alley. According to a portrait in Madame Mawkin's front sitting room, Celestina Warbeck has been seen visiting the Leaky Cauldron more often than usual. Not for an album, but for something gentler, something personal. The hum is not random. It follows a pattern. One of the enchanted coat hooks nearby claims the tune sounds like a lullaby. Slow, warm, and just a little sad. Or at least drifting quietly down the cobbled lanes just after sundown. A parchment owl spotted at Flourish and Blots whispered that she may be writing a new piece, not for the stage. But the pub's upstairs hallway painting claims the two visitors were invited in through the side door and stayed for nearly an hour. The whisper says it is a lullaby meant for St. Mungo's, a gift for patients who cannot sleep. Not enchanted for display. Just held. No names have been spoken, of course. But the shop portrait says they left the castle just after supper and passed through town well after most candles had gone out. Just enough to suggest it had been spelled to respond to emotion. The sort of magic one uses when words aren't quite enough. No official word has been released. And Warbeck's press elf has refused to comment. Unspoken, comfortable. They walked with purpose, not rushed. Not sneaking. Just quiet, focused, familiar with the shadows. But a certain portrait in the Leaky Cauldron swears it heard her sing the words, "Moonlight through glass." It might be nothing. Then again, most music begins that way. From Diagon Alley, we turn now to Hogsmeade. But it has been hanging above the shop floor for well over 100 years, and it misses nothing. This one, the painting says, was enchanted to collect memory, a rare kind of spellwork. When wound, it plays not just sound, but moments, feelings, fragments of a time long gone. Some say the box is from the era of Morgana herself. Love, it seems, is in the air. According to a portrait near the second window at Honeyduke's, 2 Hogwarts professors were seen walking together late into the evening. They weren't in a hurry. Their steps were slow. The visitor examined a small object on the far shelf, a silver music box near the west wing, where the portraits don't just gossip. They groan. Rosmerta at the 3 Broomsticks reportedly kept her fire lit long after closing. She made no mention of why. And then there's the flower. Listening, waiting, the talking portrait outside Scrivenshaft saw it, a single bloom, carried quietly in one hand, not in a vase. The petals glowed faintly, a gentle shimmer, not flashy, no noise, just a soft mutter, and then silence. As always, nothing is confirmed. But when the corridor is empty, when no one is watching, the portraits say he whispers the answer under his breath. But portraits see more than most. And sometimes what they do not say speaks loudest. Now we move deeper into shadow. To Nocturne Alley, even here, the portraits speak, though more carefully. And only when they're sure no one is watching. One such whisper comes from the narrow wooden frame above the counter at Borgin and Burke's. The painting there never gives its name. Just past midnight 2 evenings ago, a tall figure cloaked in deep gray stepped through the alley's side passage. They entered the shop without knocking. The door did not open. It simply let them through. The figure remained inside for 7 minutes. During that time, the old painting saw no exchange of coin, no wand drawn, but it did see something else, not just any box, just fragments, and the ones who dream beside you while you sleep, just echoes in the gallery. When the visitor left, the box was gone. The register remained untouched, no receipt, no trace. And yet the door never opened again, something gentle, something old. Perhaps even something the portraits themselves remember from another century. The shop's inventory list, if checked, might still show the box on the shelf, but the shelf is empty now. The portrait says nothing more, only that the figure paused before leaving, and that as they turned, their shadow did not match their steps. Some things vanish by spell, others vanish by choice. We return now to the castle, to the higher floors, and lately they've been whispering about Peeves. It seems the poltergeist has taken an interest in the Ravenclaw common room, not the students, not the furniture, just the door. As every Ravenclaw knows, their tower doesn't open with a password, it opens with a question. A riddle, answered aloud, answered correctly. And lately, Peeves has been hovering nearby, floating in silence. He never tries to answer when students are present. He just grins, backwards. He has solved 3 riddles this week, no entry. The bronze eagle on the door never responds. But it does tilt its head slightly, as if surprised. No one knows what Peeves is planning, or why he bothers. But the portraits along the staircase agree on one thing. He isn't guessing. And that may be the most unsettling part of all. And that concludes tonight's Whispers. Celestina's Lullaby, a quiet walk through Hogsmeade, a missing music box in Nocturne Alley, and Peeves, solving riddles when no one's looking. Of course, none of this is confirmed, none of it official, but portraits have long memories, and soft voices often carry the most truth. Thank you for listening. We'll take a short music break now. Then we'll return with another segment. A quiet journey into magical creatures, the ones who wander the grounds at night. Stay with us. You're listening to Hogwarts Radio, and the night still holds more magic.
You are listening to Hogwarts Radio. The music has faded. The portraits have gone still. The fire is low. Only the wind remains, moving gently across the hills. We are stepping away from the castle now. Slowly, quietly, out past the greenhouses, beyond the gardens, toward the lower fields near the lake. The hour is late, but the world is not empty. At this time of night, magic takes a different form. It does not shout. It does not shine. It whispers. It watches. It waits. Some creatures prefer this hour. Not the fierce ones. Not the ones from textbooks. But the soft ones. The rare ones. The ones that dream beside us. Tonight we are going to visit a few of them. No cages. No spells. Just observation. Just wonder. We begin at the edge of the lower fields. Past the old willow trees. Just far enough from the castle that the torches cannot reach. The grass is long. The ground is cool. And the sky is wide. This is mooncalf country. You may have read about them. Round, pale creatures. Soft skin. Big eyes. Long, flat feet. But reading does not prepare you for the stillness they bring with them. There is one here now. I can see it, standing in a patch of wild clover. Its head tilts slowly as it looks toward the sky. Its eyes are too large for its body, but not in a strange way, in a gentle way, like it sees more than it should, and then it moves. Not fast, not startled, just steady. It steps into the center of the field and begins to dance. The mooncalf does not need music. Its movements follow the moon. Each step presses into the grass, leaving behind a spiral of soft, bent clover. Its feet never rise too high. Its turns are smooth, wide arcs. No noise, just motion. Some say mooncalves dance only on full moon nights. Others say they dance when someone nearby needs peace. I do not know which is true, but the feeling is the same, like the world is paused, like even the wind is watching. There is more than one now. 3 others have stepped into view, each moving in a slow circle, each following a rhythm older than spells, older than song. The circles in the grass will stay until morning. Then they will vanish, like mist, like memory, like dreams just before waking. The mooncalves will return to their burrows soon. They never stay long, they do not wait for applause, and we will move on as well. But, for a moment, we are still, watching a dance meant only for the moon. We are walking again. The field is behind us now. The mooncalves have disappeared into the earth, and the grass has settled where they stood. The sky remains clear, the stars do not blink. Ahead of us stands the outer wall of the castle, just beyond the herbology greenhouses, where the windows hold the moonlight like silver ink. And there, just above the window ledge, is a flicker of movement. A moth, but not just any moth. They are rarely seen. Not because they are fast or small, but because they do not fly in the same way as others. Their wings do not flap quickly. They glide, they float, as if pulled gently by the air around them, and their colors shift with the night. Right now, its wings are deep gray, touched with soft gold. If you watch long enough, you might notice them change. Pale violet, dusty blue, a hint of silver along the edges. Dream spinner moths are drawn to emotion. Not loud ones, not fear or anger, but the quiet kinds. Wonder, hope, memory. They often appear near windows just before sleep. Not to enter, not to watch, but to hum. Their wings carry a sound, too soft to hear clearly, but felt somewhere behind the eyes. It has no tune, no beat, just a rhythm that slows the mind. Some say the dream spinner was first discovered by a tired spell writer who could not sleep. She left her parchment by the window, and in the morning the ink had settled perfectly into her final line, a sentence she had not written, but one that fit. Others believe the moth is a keeper of dreams, that it listens to the thoughts of those inside, gently untangling the ones that cling too tightly. This one floats gently now. It circles the window once, then settles just beneath the ledge. It rests, its wings fall still. There is nothing to fear, and nothing to fix. We leave it there, undisturbed, watching the night, guarding nothing, yet somehow keeping everything in balance. We step away from the window. The stone beneath our feet is warm from the day. The air smells faintly of old herbs and starlight, and we keep walking. We have left the stone path behind. Now the trees grow closer together here. We are at the edge of the forest, just outside where students are allowed to roam. Not quite deep enough to be dangerous, just far enough to feel forgotten. The light is softer, the air is cooler, and the world has gone quiet again. This is where the Lumina hare is said to appear. I have never seen one up close. Few have, but the stories remain, shared in hushed voices in common rooms, written in the margins of old care of magical creatures, textbooks, whispered by portraits that remember nights most of us have never lived. They say the Lumina hare is silver in color, not bright, not sharp, just enough glow to be seen when it chooses. Its ears are long and slightly curled. Its feet do not leave tracks. Its eyes do not reflect light, but seem to carry their own. The hare does not live in one place. It moves where the night is calm, where the wind is soft, where magic hums low beneath the ground. It is not hunted. It is not caught. It simply is. Some say it appears only once every season. Others believe it follows those who are lost in thought, walking just behind them, keeping their path safe without being seen. A tale from an old groundskeeper says he once spotted it near the forest's edge, just before sunrise. It stood still for several minutes, watching him, then it turned and walked into a clearing, where silver moss grew with every step it took. The moss vanished by morning, but the feeling did not. That is what most say about the Lumina hare. You may not remember its shape. You may not even remember when you saw it, but you will remember the peace. If it appears, trees grow still. Leaves stop rustling. Even creatures known for mischief lower their heads and listen. And when it leaves, the world resumes, as though it had paused only to let you breathe. Tonight, I do not see it, but I do not need to. Its presence is like a dream. You have to remember something soft, something safe, something that tells you, without speaking, that everything is where it should be. We continue walking now, along the edge of the trees, not searching, just moving. We are nearing the castle again now. The trees have fallen behind us. The fields have gone still, and the towers of Hogwarts rise ahead, lit gently from within. The stone corridors wait in silence. Most students are asleep. Most candles have gone out. But not everything is resting. Some watchers remain. There are stories, quiet ones, of the ghost cats of Hogwarts. They are not ghosts in the traditional sense. They do not haunt. They do not rattle chains or whisper warnings. They do not speak at all. They simply appear, usually late, always softly. Not all students see them. In fact, most do not. But some have reported waking to the feeling of warmth at the foot of their bed. A weight where there should be none. A shift in the blankets. A faint sound like purring that fades before it can be placed. Portraits have spoken of them, especially those in the older halls. They say the cats walk the castle in silence, pale in color, nearly transparent, not glowing, but just enough to shimmer when passing through torchlight. It is believed that these cats once belonged to magical caretakers of the school. Perhaps professors, perhaps groundskeepers, perhaps students who loved deeply and were loved in return. They linger not in sadness, but in care. House elves, when asked, will never say much, but they nod quietly when the subject is raised. And sometimes you will find a small dish of milk placed on a window ledge with no explanation. The ghost cats are not bound. They do not follow rules, but they seem to know where they are needed. A first year restless in their sleep might feel a soft pressure near their feet. A sixth year revising too late might see a flicker in the corner of their eye. A prefect making rounds may hear a gentle paw step, always one behind, never in front. I have never touched one, but I believe I've seen one. One winter, near the old divination stairwell, I passed a window just before dawn. There was frost on the glass, and in the frost a set of paw prints, light, careful, leading toward the Gryffindor common room. By sunrise, they were gone. We do not summon the ghost cats. We do not chase them. But if they visit, we let them stay. Now we climb the steps to the castle door. Not all magical creatures are grand or strange. Some are simply kind. We are inside again, but only for a moment. There is one last place I wish to visit before we return fully to the warmth of the castle. Beyond the herbology wing, there is a narrow passage that leads to the edge of the woods. Few students use it. It curves downward and opens near a patch of soft earth and small stones, often overlooked. This is where the Noxlight fawn is said to appear. Unlike the creatures we have met tonight, this one is not mentioned in textbooks. It is known only through story, through quiet memory, through belief. It is said the Noxlight fawn resembles a young deer, no taller than a wizard's knee. Its fur is dark, the color of evening mist, but along its back, from the neck to the tail, runs a faint light. Not bright, not steady, just enough to be seen in darkness, like moonlight reflected in still water. Its hooves make no sound. Its breath carries a slow magic, one that affects time, not in large ways, but in gentle ones. The old stories say that when a Noxlight fawn is near, moments stretch. Thoughts calm. The air thickens slightly, like a soft blanket. Those who see it do not panic. They do not shout. They simply stop and breathe. There is no record of where the fawn lives. No nest, no tracks. But there are accounts of its presence from centuries ago. A note in the corner of a herbologist's journal. A sketch in an unused margin of a Transfiguration manuscript. All speak of the same feeling. A hush, a pause, a sense of being held by the night. One tale comes from an elderly astronomy professor who claimed to have seen the fawn while charting stars near the lake. He wrote that time seemed to slip between minutes, that he stared at the same constellation for nearly an hour, but the stars never moved. When he turned, the fawn was gone, and the stars resumed their path. We do not see the fawn tonight, but there is a feeling in the air. The trees are still, the wind is soft, the stones do not shift beneath our steps. It is not absence, it is presence without form. A kind of magic that does not need to be seen to be real. We wait for a moment longer, just to listen, just to feel. Then we turn and begin walking back toward the castle, slowly, calmly, as if the night itself is guiding our return. We are walking back now, up the path, across the soft grass, through the outer door of the castle. The night has not changed, but we have moved through it. We have walked where few have looked. We have listened where the world is quietest. The creatures of this hour do not shout. They do not wake the world, they watch it rest. A mooncalf dancing in the fields, a dream spiner moth drifting across the glass, a lumini hare stepping lightly through silver moss, a ghost cat curled at the foot of a bed, a noxlite fawn breathing stillness into the trees. They do not ask for attention. They do not seek praise. They simply keep the world gentle while it sleeps. Magic is not always movement. It is sometimes presence. It is sometimes peace. You are safe now. The walls of the castle rise quietly around you. The portraits nod in silence. The stairs do not creak. Somewhere nearby, a torch flickers once, then settles. And so do you. This has been Creatures of the Quiet Hour. You are listening to Hogwarts Radio, and sleep is waiting.
You are still listening to Hogwarts Radio, and now the castle sleeps. The fire in the Great Hall has faded to glowing embers. The wind outside the tower windows is still. The portraits have grown quiet, their painted eyes gently closed. Only the soft hum of the walls remains, breathing magic in and out, like a lullaby older than time. Before we close tonight's broadcast, let us take a moment to remember where we've been. We began with the Tales of Hogwarts itself, a reading from the archives, whispers in old parchment, a reflection on wandless magic, a reminder that not all power comes from spells or wands, but sometimes from stillness, from breath, from memory. We listened as a voice from the past, one not often heard with gentleness, spoke to us from the depths of his knowledge. Professor Snape, with care in his tone and weight in his words, guided us through memory, through discipline, through the darker corners of what magic can reveal. After that, we stepped into the halls and corridors with our ears open, guided by the paintings themselves. The portraits whispered of love, of secrets, of vanished artifacts and glowing flowers. A late-night visit to Borgin and Burke's, a riddle solved backwards. A lullaby from Celestina, meant only for those who need rest. Then we walked beyond the walls, into the wild, into the quiet, into the creatures that rise not with the sun, but with the stars. We saw the mooncalf, spinning slow circles in the fields, dancing to a rhythm only the moon could hear. We found the dream spinner moth, fluttering softly outside a student's window, drawn to the quiet feelings no spell could name. We chased no creatures, we startled none, we simply watched. The lumine hair left trails that vanished by morning. The ghost cats curled gently beside the beds of students too deep in sleep to notice. The noxlite fawn passed through the trees without a sound, a creature of stillness, a guardian of rest. All these moments came and went, and now only the memory of them remains. If these stories brought you comfort tonight, if they helped ease the weight behind your eyes or slowed the pace of your breath, we're glad to have kept you company. We would be honored to have you join us again. You can follow Hogwarts Radio wherever your listening charms take you. Subscribe to receive future broadcasts. Leave a kind note if you wish. Even one word helps the magic travel farther. Every listen strengthens the enchantment. Every voice, every whisper makes the next night's journey more vivid. If you'd like to support the broadcast, the best way is to simply share the magic, pass it along, mention it to a friend. Let the portraits whisper our name when no one else is in the room. And remember, this space will always be here. The next time sleep won't come. The next time the stars are too quiet. The next time you simply need a place to rest your mind. We will return with new segments soon, new tales, new voices, new wonder. Until then, rest easy. You are safe within these walls. You are seen. You are remembered, and the night is not empty. It is full of story. It is full of magic, and it is waiting for you to dream. Thank you for joining us. This has been Hogwarts Radio. Good night.